Hey everyone, Sir Historious here. Welcome back to History's Turning Point, the channel where we explore the events that changed our world forever. Today we are traveling back to 1912 to climb aboard one of the most famous ships in history, one that people called Unsinkable. Yep, we're talking about the Titanic. This story is filled with invention, mistakes, bravery, and huge lessons that the world had to learn the hard way. So tighten your life jackets because this is going to be a memorable voyage. Let me take you to the early 1900s, a time of big dreams and booming technology. The White Star Line wanted the most luxurious ship ever built, and that's how the RMS Titanic came to life. This floating palace stretched 882 feet long, almost 3 football fields, had 10 decks, and weighed as much as 64 million bananas. Yes, I did the math. Inside, pure luxury. A heated swimming pool, a gym, Turkish baths, a massive dining room, a grand staircase shining with glass and gold. The ship had 16 watertight compartments, and engineers believed that even if 4 of them flooded, the Titanic would still float. People truly thought it couldn't sink. If I had seen it in person, I would have probably said something like, well, if this sinks, I'm moving to the desert. On April 10th, 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton, England. Crowds cheered as the ship slowly pulled away from the dock. You could feel the excitement. Over 2,200 people were on board. They came from many different backgrounds. First class, wealthy travelers, business owners, even celebrities of the time. Second class, teachers, writers, middle class families. Third class, immigrants hoping to start a new life in America. The ship made 2 quick stops: Cherbourg, France, and then Queenstown, Ireland, before heading into the wide open Atlantic. If I had been a passenger, I'd be on deck snapping a million pictures. Well, if cameras were phones back then. The ocean stretched forever. The air was fresh. The ship felt unstoppable. But the ocean had other plans. April 14th, 1912, the day everything changed. All day long, the Titanic received 6 warnings about icebergs, but not all of them reached the captain. The radio operators were busy sending messages from passengers, and iceberg warnings didn't seem urgent at the time. That night, the sky was clear and full of stars, but the sea was dead calm, what sailors call a flat calm. This is dangerous because waves normally splash against icebergs, making them easier to spot. No waves meant no warning. At 11:40 p.m., the lookout spotted a giant black shape in the distance. He rang the bell 3 times and shouted, "Iceberg right ahead! Iceberg right ahead! Iceberg right ahead!" The crew tried to turn the ship, but the Titanic was massive and couldn't move quickly. The iceberg scraped along the right side, slicing open the hull in 5 compartments. The moment I imagine that chilling sound, the grinding metal, the cracking ice, I feel a shiver down my spine. That's when the Titanic's fate was sealed. Right after the impact, many passengers didn't even realize anything was wrong. Some felt a small shake, like a car running over a bump, but down below the ocean was pouring in fast. Officers rushed to investigate. Within minutes, they knew the truth. The Titanic was going to sink. Here's where the real tragedy begins. The ship had lifeboats for only about half the people on board. They weren't required to carry more because the designers assumed the ship itself was a lifeboat. At 12:40 a.m., the first lifeboats were lowered, but many weren't even full because people didn't believe the ship was sinking. Some thought it was just safer to stay on board. If I had been there, I think the hardest part would have been hearing families decide who would go in a lifeboat and who would stay behind. You'd hear children crying, officers shouting, directions, and the ship slowly tilting more and more. And then the musicians. This part always moves me. They played music, calm, comforting music. so people wouldn't panic. They stayed until the very end. By 2:18 a.m., the bow was completely underwater. The ship snapped in half. At 2:20 a.m., the Titanic disappeared beneath the waves. The water was freezing, cold enough to cause hypothermia in minutes. Over 1,500 people lost their lives that night. It's one of history's most heartbreaking moments, but also one of its biggest turning points. So, why is the Titanic a turning point? Because this disaster changed rules across the entire world. After the Titanic sank, ships became legally required to have enough lifeboats for every single person on board. Radios had to be manned 24 hours a day, so no emergency call would ever be missed again. The International Ice Patrol was created to track icebergs and warn ships. Safety drills became mandatory. Ships were designed with improved and stronger hulls, better watertight compartments, and smarter emergency plans. The Titanic showed the world that no machine, no matter how big or advanced, is greater than nature. It taught us that safety must always come first. And when I think of the Titanic, I don't just think about the ship. I think about the people, the families chasing new lives, the heroes who helped others, the crew who stayed until the end, the photographers, the immigrants, real lives, real dreams, real courage. That's why the Titanic still matters today. Thanks for exploring this powerful moment in history with me. If you learned something new, or if you love stories that bring the past to life, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss another adventure with me, Sir Historious. And tell me in the comments, what turning point should I explore next? Until then, stay curious, because history is full of stories and still shape our world today.